Welcome back. We are all set to have a chat with the management of Action Construction Equipment. And the company's done really well in the fourth quarter. They've ended the year on a high. Revenue is up about 36% on a year-on-year basis. Margins have also expanded. And there's a 72% increase in export sales. To understand the outlook, we have with us Sorab Agarwal, the executive director of the company. Sorab, great to have you with us. I mean, it's like I was saying, Q4, you've managed a 36% growth at the top line. There is a very strong margin expansion. Your fourth quarter margins stand at about 15.5%. And it seems to be a good year as well, because for the year as a whole, you've grown at about 35%. So all well. But why are you so conservative about FY25? Because for the present year, I think the guidance is just about 15 to 20% on top line growth. Why is that?
I'm very surprised. How do you know that guidance before we've given it? But nevertheless, the 15 to 20% is a very conservative guideline, I would say. And also keeping in mind that quarter one is more or less going to get exhausted for the elections. And general activity does slow down a little. But on the whole, we are very sure that we should be able to exceed 15 to 20% even in the current year, like what we have always been able to do in the past.
So what's the realistic guidance? 15 to 20 is conservative, clearly. So what's the baseline number that we're looking at?
The baseline is 15 to 20. Anything more than this is a bonus. But in saying this, I would also say that it should definitely be more than this because from 1st of January, our industry, the construction equipment segment, is moving on to BS5, Tier 5, CEV5 standard with respect to emission. So there would be definitely going to be a lot of pre-buying starting from second half of quarter two and even in quarter three. As it is, quarter three is generally very robust for us because of the festive season. So on the whole, it will be a good year, but it will be a much better position if I comment on the growth in the second quarter.
You're also given two numbers in the past. I think 4,400 of a top line in FY26 and 5,500 crore of a top line in FY27. Do you maintain that, or given the demand tailwinds, the pre-buying that's expected, you could exceed even these numbers?
I think these numbers are very much achievable. And in saying that, in FY22, we had thought we'll do about 2,500 crores by FY24, but we've exceeded that. We reached 2,900. So keeping 2,500 as the base, I think it should be very easy to double up or do more than that in the next 3 years. And in saying this again, it might be also possible to do a 3x in the next 5 years.
From FY24 as a base?
I would say 2,500 crores as a base, what we had planned, if we work hard enough and if the country plays along, even a 3x from current base should be possible.
And this is a 3x growth, top line growth over how many years you said?
5 years.
5 years, for potential 3x growth over 5 years. So Sorab, let's talk about segments and really what's happening on ground. Which are the industrial segments where you're seeing maximum traction from? And what about pricing? Because your margins have also increased very smartly. Like I said, you're at 15.5% in Q4. So how much of this is pricing led and what's really happening on the ground?
We work all across manufacturing sector, infrastructure sector, and also agri. Contribution I would roughly put at 45%, 45% and 10%. Now, within the segments within our company, I think we've done robust growth in our cranes business, even better in our construction equipment business as it was envisaged. And yes, forklift could have done better, so I'm sure we'll cover up this year. Agri, again, I think looking at the overall market sentiment with respect to agriculture equipment, I think we will be able to do a pretty good job at 12% growth. So on the whole, I think revenue growth, we are very satisfied ourselves what we're able to do. And on the margin front, I would say that every about 500-600 crores of revenue would add about 80 to 100 basis points to our bottom line, and that is what we've been seeing in the past. Now, operating leverage coupled with our cost efficiencies, I would say, coupled with a better product mix, because even in the crane segment, people are now preferring slightly higher tonnages as compared to the past trend. And most importantly, commodity has been stable, rather on a slight decline in the last quarter. That also aided us.
So this is not the margin increase is because of all the factors that you mentioned, operating leverage, softer raw material costs. It's not because have you taken price increases as well? What's the outlook on pricing?
We have taken a price increase from 1st of January. So the benefit of that will again start to kick in from, let's say, March month onwards. So within this quarter, we'll be seeing that benefit come.
Okay. You had also indicated that you are exploring inorganic opportunities, particularly in the defense sector. Where are we on that?
I think there's some miscommunication, not in the defense sector. We are definitely looking at inorganic growth within the country and even outside the country, because we are very keen to expand our export portfolio, and we've been doing this last 3-4 years. From a 1 or 2%, we have now come to about 8.5% contribution of exports to our business top line in the last 3-4 years. And I would say that our medium to long-term plans are to go to at least 15 to 20%. So in sync with that, you would definitely be looking at some acquisition outside India to be able to create a base to sell machines from there. Machines made in India predominantly.
Sorry, I missed the number of exports. 8.5% currently is the export contribution. You want it to increase to?
The medium to long term, 15 to 20% is what we are planning, targeting, and working on.
And what's the size of the acquisition? Are you likely to conclude one in FY25? Where are we in terms of talks?
I think with respect to our acquisition out of India, we should be able to do something within the current year. Maybe in quarter 2, quarter 3. Let's see how it progresses. The final negotiations are still to be carried out.
Okay, so then in that case, let's just end with a sort of an overview on cash positions, borrowing, your capex plan. I mean, how much you'd be putting to. I think you're adding some capacity as well. So just give us an overview of cash levels and the capex.
See, last year we were able to generate free cash close to about 430, 440 crores. So overall, we have around 700 crores of cash available with us. And we have capex plans in this year as well. So last year we increased our capacity and we reached about 4,000 crores turnover capacity, 4,500 crores rather. And this year again we'll be doing a capex of close to about 1,800 crores, which will take us to about 5,500 crores of revenue capability. And cash is available with us. We are a debt-free company. We have no long-term debt. We hardly have any short-term debt. So I think on the whole situation is healthy. But here again, I would just like to add that we have also been able to generate, even ROC and ROE beyond our own expectations. So I just hope we continue to do better and maintain it.
Your shareholders are absolutely loving, all of these facets that you described, being debt-free and generating large amounts of cash. The stock really reflects that. Thank you very much, Sorab, for joining in. Good conversation, and wish you good luck for the year that we are in. Well, on